2 years ago, I did a video on books that had the most 9.8s with no 9.9s. I did a follow-up last year, and then CGC announced, Matt Nelson in an interview talking about the 9.9 pre-screen. And there was the thought that we were going to see an explosion of 9.9s, making 9.8s worthless. Well, let's take a look at where those 20 books stand today. And have we gotten any 9.9s? You're going to have to watch and see to find out. Up next on this video from Bronzeville Comics. Hey there, Penalologists. This is Jim from Bronzeville Comics coming to you with another video. And before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe. Check out the description of the video for links to my Instagram, whatnot, eBay store, and email. We'd like to thank you for stopping by. And we're going to talk about this. So 2 years ago, I looked at maybe not the top 20 books, but I think the top books, a lot of keys. That had the most 9.8s. All of these books have at least 1,000 9.8s and they had no 9.9s. And I did another follow-up last year, and there were still no 9.9s. There were a total of over 56,000 books between these 20 titles. And then there was all the talk just over a year ago, or just under a year ago, about a 9.9 pre-screen, and that CGC was going to be looking for 9.9s, and then all these books would be getting 9.9s. People would be resubmitting to get 9.9s because CGC, Matt Nelson said they hadn't really been looking for them. And other than an occasional giant size X-Men 1 or something like that, have we seen a lot of 9.9? So I kind of use this as a test case to see if we've seen an explosion of 9.9s, because the concern was if 9.9 becomes the new kind of minty standard, then the values of 9.8s will shrink. Well, let's jump into these 20 books and see how many got 9.9s. Now, a year ago, there were 56,631 books between these 20 issues. There's been a 3.9% increase to 58,853. Are there any 9.9s? Let's take a look. So let's go to, I resorted these. There's not a lot of change in the order. I think there's been very little change from last year. A couple books, because a couple of these books are honestly quite stale. Some of them are big keys, but let's go to the first one on the list, the 20th book on the list, and that is Sandman #1 from 1989, Vertigo, or actually DC, pre-Vertigo, by Neil Gaiman and Sam Keith. This has had an increase of 81 copies in a 9.8, and currently standing at 1,224 9.8s and no 9.9s. A book that is somewhat notorious for the paper quality, dark spots on the cover, harder to get in higher grade, and it is now a book that is 36 years old. So no 9.9s, but there is a bit of irony to this. No 9.9s on the 1988. The 1989, or no, it is 89. January 89. The 1989 Sandman. But here's a funny fact. The 1974 Sandman has a 9.8. This is the one from Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. It does have a very early 9.8. I'm not sure. I mean, no, there's something over here. I was a 9.9. I don't think this book gets a 9.9 if it's resubmitted today. That's just my thought. So the 1974 book has a 9.9. The 1989 book does not. Let's go to the next book on the list, and this is a huge key. It is Batman Adventures 12, the first appearance of Harley Quinn. There have been another 102 copies that have hit a 9.8 for a total of 1,355 and no 9.9s. This is a little bit more difficult book. It was meant for kids, and it didn't, again, paper quality, DC didn't give this the white glove treatment when they created it. They knew it was being created for kids. The cover is a little bit smaller, and the staples are a little bit offset. on the copies that I've seen. I've been able to get a couple 9/8s on this book. But nobody's ever gotten a 9/9. And I looked at a book that looks so good. I'm like, could this be a 9/9? And I was like, part of the impetus of me starting this 2 years ago was, what if a 9/9 came to market? Let's go to the next book on the list. And this is Marvel Comics Presents number 72, the first chapter of the Weapon X storyline featuring Wolverine. This has had actually an increase of 148 copies for 1,837 9/8s, no 9/9s. This dark green cover, and it is a wraparound cover. A book, an older book, a book from 1991. No 9/9s. The next book on the list is another older book. This is Uncanny X-Men 282, the first cover and cameo appearance of Bishop, also from 1991. There have been an increase of 145 9/8s for 2,028 total, and no 9/9s of this book. And again, with all of these are older books, and I did try to pick out, some older keys that had quite a few 9/8s, but no 9/9s. So we're 0 for 4 so far. Let's go to the fifth book on our list, and I'm going in increasing order in the number of 9/8s. Strange Academy number 1, a ton of first appearances. This is from 2020. This book been highly speculated on during the boom. It came out right before COVID. In the last year, we've had an increase of only 35 9/8s and no 9/9s for this book. Again, this is a 2020 book from Marvel. Paper quality is not great, to say the least. Harder to get 9/9s. Let's go to our next book, which is very much a COVID baby. This is Something is Killing the Children, number 1 by Boom Studios. First appearance of Erica Slaughter from 2019. This book was the hot book at the beginning of the comic boom. Everybody wanted a copy. Everybody wanted a 9.8. Again, it's a book from 2019, a fairly recent book. There have been just 59 more 9/8s on the census. And I think this is something that's interesting. I think there are a smaller percentage of books that don't get slabbed right away for very recent books, for let's say the last 5 or 10 years, as opposed to books from the 80s and 90s. Much higher print runs. When those books came out, they weren't getting slabbed because it didn't exist. And so there are minty copies sitting in people's collections. That being said, this has 2,165 9/8s and still no 9/9s. Our next book is Young Avengers number 1, the first appearance of the Young Avengers. This is another COVID baby, a very big spec book in terms of these characters. And these characters, we're getting them in the MCU. There's been an increase of 152 9/8s in the last year, which kind of surprised me a little bit. First appearances of Wiccan and Kate Bishop, Hulkling, Iron Lad, and Patriot. We've seen 4 of those 5. Everybody other than Hulkling we've seen in the MCU. It is a spec darling. Its price has come down quite a bit. And again, this is a book from 2005. Marvel paper quality, so-so. An increase of 122 9/8s. Still not a 9/9 in sight. The next book is a 90s book. This is Infinity Gauntlet number 1 from 1991. This has had an increase of 122 9/8s in the last year. No 9/9s. George Perez cover. And I'm talking only about the numbers of blue labels. I don't believe there are any 9/9s of these books either. Again, a black cover, a little bit harder to get in a higher grade, but still not a 9/9. The next book on the list is Amazing Spider-Man 365, the preview of Spider-Man 2099 and an anniversary issue. In the last year, we have seen 124 new 9/8s on the census and no 9/9s. This is a little bit more difficult book. It's a thicker book. It's cardstock. It has that hologram, which can get scratched. It's really not a book that lends itself to improvement by pressing that much. You can do a little bit, but once a tick is there, it usually breaks color and it's there. And the thicker book, there tends to be a little bit of like, it's easy to get indentations around the staples. Nobody's gotten a 9.9 on it. Up next from DC Comics, Nice House on the Lake, #1. This is interesting. This is from 2021. And in the last year, there have been an additional 2 9/8 make the census. This book is stagnant. This was a hot book when it came out. Thoughts that it would be turned into a television series or something. Like fair market. Wait, there's a sale of a 9.9? That looks... Let me double check this. I'm going to say that this has to be an error. I cannot find either on the CGC census nor on GP analysis a 9.8 of Nice House on the Lake #1. I'm not sure where this sale came from, but it doesn't appear to be a real sale. The fair market value of a 9.8 is $25. So that's why nobody's submitting it. We are going to see at least at least 2 other stale books, as I'll call them on this list. But there are a lot of 9.8s. There are a total of 2,848, not a 9.9, despite what cover price has. If you check the census, there's no 9.9s, and if you check GP analysis, there's no sale of a 9.9. That has to be something erroneous. The next book we're going to look at is Saga #1 from 2012 Image, a very well-respected storyline. In the last year, there have been a total of 83 more books come in at a 9.8. No 9.9s. Not a 9.9. Still a valuable book in a 9.8. A book that's worth getting graded, but it is from 2012, so a lot of them have already been graded. Let's take a look at our next book on our list. This one's a little stale. This is You're the Villain, Hell Arisen #3. This is the first appearance of Punchline from 2020. There have been just 34 more 9.8s appear on the census. It is a $100 9.8, but not a 9.9. No 9.9s of this. A little bit of a stale book, but not like a couple of the others, one that we looked at recently. The next book on the list. Oh, by the way, Hell Arisen has a total of 3,066 9.8s. Our next book is Spawn #9, the first appearance of Angela, Todd McFarlane cover. There's been an increase of 152 9.8s of this book. It's still really popular. It's under $100 now in a 9.8, but there is not a 9.9. And that's interesting because Spawn #1 has a lot of 9.9s. It has a strong number of 9.9s. I'm not sure how many, but there are a lot of 9.9s for Spawn 1, but none for Spawn 9. It is an older book from 1993, but so is Spawn 1. Higher print count for Spawn 1, but not that much higher. Let's go to the oldest book on the list, and a hot book as well. Omega Men #3, the first appearance of Lobo, DC Comics 1983, an expensive book in a 9.8, $300. Now, this does surprise me a little. In the last year, now this doesn't surprise me. In the last year, there have been 297 more 9.8s, nearly 300 to bring the total of 3,368. Jason Momoa is going to be playing Lobo. It's very popular. I'm a little bit surprised, even though this book is 42 years old now. It was printed on higher quality paper by DC back in the day. It was printed on what they call Baxter paper, which is whiter, thicker cards, thicker stock than newsprint. But from what I've seen, I've seen issues with albeit small, with printer's creases on the cover. And I believe that'll keep you out of the 9.9s. But I'm surprised there hasn't been a perfect copy that's come down the road. The thicker books also tend to have bindery tears. Let's look at another pretty stale book. This is Thor #1, the first Jane Foster's Thor from 2014. There have been 42 additional 9.8s pop up. No 9.9s. We saw Natalie Portman portray Jane Foster in Thor Love and Thunder, but that has come and gone. Wasn't universally liked by the fandom. So this is a stale book, and a 9.8 now is going to run you about $60. So it's not a book people are in a hurry to submit. And if they do get it raw, they're like, why didn't I submit this 3 years ago? So no 9.9s for this. The next book is another really stale book. This is Amazing Spider-Man #55, the Patrick Gleason Webhead. This is the first printing. There were numerous printings, different colors. All this was a chase book when it came out. It's from 2020. In the last year, there have been 70 more books pop up on the census, but no 9.9s or 70 more 9.8s. Again, it's about a $55 book and a 9.8 right now. So again, not a book a lot of people are rushing to get graded. 4 more books left. We're 16 books in, and we haven't had a single 9.9. The next book is another popular recent book. It's War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas #1. This is from 2019. The first appearances of Luna Snow, Wave, Crescent, Io, Swordmaster cameo, and the first U.S. appearance of Arrow. So we have seen Wave in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, although not as a superhero. A lot of speculation around Swordmaster, but that's the thing. This has a lot of first appearances, a lot of speculation about it, and it's kind of sitting at speculation. 54 more 9.8s have been added in the last year, but no 9.9s. This is a little bit stale, about a $70 9.8. But I think unlike Thor or the Gleason Webhead, this does have potential to grow in the future if we do get these characters become popular in the MCU. The next book is a book that has been hot in the last year. This is Venom #3, the first appearance of Null, and Null did make an appearance in the Venom film in this past year. So largely because of that, there have been 177 new 9.8s on the census. And guess what? There was a 9.9. One book, 199 made it. This is surprising, a book from 2018, and this did sell. The Venom #3 from 2018. Gotta get the right printing. First printing. There we go. This now, how much more for the only 9.9 in existence, right? It's sold in November for $4,200. That is about 20 times what a 9.8 sells for, right? And fair market value is $240, so a little less than 20. I've watched Ryan with Automatic Comics. He's kind of used the 20x rule to go from a 9.8 to a 9.9 in value, and that makes sense, right? I think I would have priced this right around $4,000 for a 9.8. And I think the unfortunate thing is it came out after the movie had come and gone. At least it went to sale. I don't know when it was graded. Do we have that information? Graded. It was graded on September 24th of 24. So it's right around the time the movie came out. But this is our 9.9. We do have a 9.9. Let's look at the next book. Ultimate Fallout 4, first appearance of Miles Morales. In the last year, we've had 206 more 9.8s for a total of 4,430. Not a 9.9 in sight. Now, this book, I mean, this is a popular book, right? It's about an $800 book in a 9.8. So if a 9.9 popped, 16,000, maybe 20,000. Now, here's the thing. Which would you rather have? A 9.8 Jurjevic variant of Ultimate Fallout 4 or the only 9.9 if it existed? It doesn't exist. There are none. But if it did, which would be worth more? I mean, the Jurjevic variant, this is kind of like the you know, the dirty little secret here. That was going for $40,000 in a 9.8 at one point, and now it's under $10,000. The last sale from December is $9,500. So I think most people, because of the iconic cover and getting the only 9.9, and there are a lot of Miles collectors out there, I think this would garner more than 20x. Now let's look at the book that has the most copies on the census. And this is Star Wars Darth Vader #3, first appearance of Dr. Aphra. In the last year, we've seen 162 additional 9.8s. And no 9.9s. So there's the only 9.9 is Venom 3. Only one 9.9 compared to 58,853 9.8s. My conclusion is that we're not getting a plethora of 9.9s. At least we haven't in the last almost year. It's been almost a year since that interview with Matt Nelson about the 9.9 pre-screen, which I guess wasn't really a thing. But I just find that kind of interesting. So let's take a look at the summary, right? So here we have the books. Interestingly, 2 years ago, War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas had the most copies on the list. That has fallen from first to fourth. Omega Men has risen from 11th to 7th on the list. And we had 53,000 9.8s 2 years ago, 56,000 9.8s a year ago. I did do, this was after Are We Getting the 9.9 pre-screen in June of last year. I will update this on an annual basis. 58,000. Now, the interesting thing amongst these books, there was about a 3450 increase in the number of 9.8s from 2023 to 2024, and that slowed to just 2,200 in these books in 9.8s over the last year. That is not necessarily indicative of anything. It could be indicative of a slowdown in the number of submissions. And certainly some of these books, like the Nice House on the Lake or the Thor one, people really aren't submitting that book anymore because it doesn't make sense to. You could pick up, a 9.8 copy for under $50 for pretty much close to case cost. Unless somebody was chasing the 9.9, they don't exist, but we did get that 199 for Venom #3. So I'd like to thank you for stopping by and taking a look at this video. I think it's kind of interesting, and I'm going to continue. I'll come back again next year with this list. I think it's interesting because we have a standard. We have a control group of books that 2 years ago didn't have any 9.9s. And at that point in time, X-Men #4, the first appearance of Omega Red, had just recently got its first 9.9. And now we have a total of 199 among these 20 control books. I don't want to introduce new books because we can't compare it to where that was a year or two ago. So I'm going to come back with these 20 books again next year and see if we do have more 9.9s. If we have one or two more, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. If we have 70 more, that'll be a big deal. But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen what I think a lot of people were thinking that we might see we might see an overabundance of 9.9s. Yes, if CGC is grading a batch of 25 new books, yeah, maybe you'll get 9.9s. And I'm fine with kind of the grading standards changing and being different for books that are published today going forward. If there are more 9.9s for the book that was on the shelves this week, new, that's fine, because it doesn't affect the books that are already encapsulated. And then, of course, we have the irony that the 1974 Sandman has a 9.9 that was encapsulated probably more than 20 years ago. It has that Generation 1 label, and the 1989 Sandman has none. So anyway, I'd like to thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate it. You can take a look at a couple of my other videos here. And this is Jim saying until next time, enjoy your comics.